Okay. I'll let you all come back before I do stuff here. Who's back? It was the stupidest thing. Now you can still hear me? Okay. Not sure. So on the actual device, the 48 volt thing weren't set up properly. Is anyone saying anything in the chat room? Is there anyone here at all? Okay, now it says 6 viewers. Hello, Mung. Cool. So, what has happened since last time? I've been toying a little bit with actually using what's it called? Using Magica Voxel to make assets. So I've only done this door yet. Or door, wall. It's really dark. But it is kind of cumbersome to use because I want to draw the texture. Alternatively, I want to model the thing, and then I gotta bring that, save that as an OBJ file, and then bring that into Blender, UV map it, and then throw that into Unity, and then create a new material. And it's like lots of steps, but and also since I don't do it properly, we get some we get some stretching on top of these. For the sake of visibility, let's increase this a little bit. Less moody, but it does work. So we also have some other issues, but we'll figure that out. So unfortunately, I rebooted my computer without checking Magica Voxel, so I think I lost this particular thing. But I was thinking, I'm allergic to any kind of hard work, so what I want to do is create a workflow where I just drop either a Magica Voxel file or an OBJ or something. Like the best thing would be a Magica Voxel thing. I think I have some kind of importer, and then I could like create something that UV maps it. It should be pretty easy, just taking the bounds of the object, and then just go through every triangle in there and then map that to a texture, and then have some offsets we can do to easily like select which one goes with which, and then maybe we can make something that would work with something. So I was thinking we'd start by just trying to remap something and like UV map something in Unity. So maybe the easiest thing would be to take something like I don't know, 16 by 16 cube or something and just modify it slightly. Kind of say, let's draw a top on this one. Do I even have a good reason to? Not just like it differently. Whatever. So yeah. What I can then do, export this somehow. I think the easiest way would be to do an OBJ file. I actually had another voxel thing in here. Test cube. It doesn't matter. Okay, cool. So let's create something that like takes a mesh, applies some UV maps and renders it. I was thinking to have some kind of debug material here. Call it debug UV. So I already prepared it with one of these UV things. We can clearly see what's going on. So let's create a empty object, add a mesh filter, a mesh renderer, and for now we're just gonna use this default cube and the debug material, which doesn't really have any yeah, it doesn't have UVs. It uses the colors of, or use the colors in Magica Voxel to yeah, to do that. But I want to kind of model something simple in Magic of Voxel, and then have some kind of export of that into Photoshop, and then map that image in here. But yeah, so let's create some kind of script. I'm gonna be radical and create a new voxels folder here. Public mesh base mesh I'm gonna grab this, and the first thing we're gonna do is just copy this and set it up. So by default we'll have no mesh. But we have a link to the base mesh. Can I create a mesh from? Probably not. What can we get from base mesh? Also, we need to be able to read from it, so read write enable. Why do you not like this? This will... So in theory, we should be able to, like, we should get a cube here. Look, it worked. Specs. What would that be? So we should be able to create like a bounce. So we want to have var UVs, new list of vector 2. We're not going to use whatever is coming in, so we want to get the bounds of the object so we can create for each vertex, create a normal. My PC specs. I got a Ryzen 50. Actually, I had that up here. Ryzen 5800X, 32 gigs of RAM. I've got a 2070 graphics card. You should be able to like encapsulate the, should give us the bounds of the mesh, and then we can go through all the vertices again and add a UV that's more or less going to be the normal so if we scale with the inverse of the normal, it's gonna be strange. Let's keep it simple to start with. Let's just take the X and Y positions divided by the bounds. So P is gonna be our V minus bounds min. This is like the bottom left corner. And then we're gonna divide these values by bounds width. So we only do X and Y for now. So maybe could be that this gets textured now. Oh. Just for fun. just want something to. Oh, we never set the normals, do we? Or channel 0. Nice how it's the channel is the second argument in the triangles and the first argument in the UV call. Won't you look at that? It's actually correct. Nice. So now we have a simple planar thing. If we picked another mesh, like this, whatever. No, not there. We got to go here. It will actually select it, and it will UV map it planar. Here is, for example, the wall that I exported from Blender, which looks terrible. We could make it so that it works if we rotate something. But since it seems like Magica Voxel and Unity agrees on the coordinate system, I'm pretty fine with doing just this. So the way I got it set up before to make that wall, I think I had 80 by 96. And then I just made a little wall, whatever size we want it to be, 10 units. We can set the frame to be like 8 and draw mostly that. Then we can do like pull this back in. These are actual scene units now. It's got it doesn't look right. So 80 should be 10 units. That's correct. Oh yeah, it's correct. It's correct. Never mind. And then I just added like a little thing down here. I drew in some other little things, like maybe something up here. What else did I do? I did something slightly overlapping here. It's like this, and then it should be smaller, I think. Maybe even this should go here. Cut out a little hole here. So it's not going to be exactly what we did before. Can we make the frame less visible? Maybe that's easier to see. And I had a little cuts here. This will only solve one part of the problem, and that is the part where we map a texture onto our model. We still have to go from this into a texture that we can draw on in Photoshop. Okay, so step one, take this thing, save it as a voxel file, just so we have it and we don't have to test wall 2 voxels, and then we also do the OBJ file. So going in here, we should be able to find it if we go assets. Pick the wrong one again. I think it's this. It seems like I imported it backwards, so this is a good test. So we can flip this, flip in, it should be Z. Nope, it's in Y. But that looks backwards to me. First of all, why is it? It's offset by. Oh, okay, so it's this. It takes the center. I see. Is the size of this the actual size of things? No. It's too small. That's the other part that we need to figure out. So it probably uses some setting in Magica Voxel. Maybe we can figure that one out. But I think it makes it so that one unit is 10 when I export it, and I don't think there's a setting that I can work with. So what we do is we multiply all the vertices we need to do this. So we're gonna have this scale factor here, public float scale, and the scale is gonna be what? It's gonna be so it's 1 unit is 0.8, so 0.8 we want to multiply by something that's larger than 1, which means we need to take 10 and divide by 8. Yep. Now we have our thing here. Now we're gonna refer to a texture that's gonna be used. We might do that just from the material that we set up here. So let's use wall or voxel tests, I think it's called. Oh, what's that? Cool. So now you can see if we map the whole texture to this, it's like mapping the wrong thing. So I think what we'll do, we will set public vector 2int texture size, and this is going to be 256 by, or is it 512? 512. Let's see. Is there like an info there? 512, 512. So we're gonna work in 16 unit increments, I think. We're gonna say how many tiles is it across. So this is gonna be 512 divided by 16. And then we're gonna have another vector 2, that's the texture offset. And we're gonna set that to 1, 1 or something. Wonder if it's bad to have those as vector 2 ints. But we'll see. Maybe it's easier to work with. So when we calculate the vectors here for the normals, I think we can do not the normals, for these. So what are we gonna grab? What are we gonna grab? I don't know. This is to take it into a 0 to 1 range. Now, what we want to do is before this, we want to offset it. Hello, paper. We want to offset it by the offset. So we're gonna scale our thing into some tile space or something like that. Let's call this tile. So it's gonna be V plus offset, texture offset. So these are like what we think of these as world units. How many pixels or... I'm good, thank you. Hope you're good too. Now we can't offset it like this because we don't have X and Y or... So no longer... oh, also we want to divide... the X by the texture size, I think. So we'll like offset it a bit and then divided by the texture size. Maybe that works. We'll see. It should sort of be entirely black actually, so this is probably correct. And then we like offset this. And then eventually we will get like something that'll work. Now it doesn't match perfectly. Because we didn't draw it the same way as before, so we'll have to update that somehow. What I want to maybe do is create something that just copies, like a button you press that copies this into a texture that's of a certain size. Here's another fun thing. You can see this moire pattern or like interference pattern that happens on top. This is because the texture coordinates are at the exact edge, right? Which isn't great. So sometimes it falls over to one of the why is it strange? That is the right size now at least, so how do we handle this? We could shift everything. So one of the ideas I have with this is to somehow use the UV chords that exists to create a UV it's really hard to see here, but you can see there's a top face here. I want to figure out a way to get that UV from something. I'm not sure how yet, but we'll figure it out. Oh, Mind Rage. So, it's also flipped in the X direction, it seems. This one should go on the other side, so there's something really weird going on with our texture importer here. It does convert, but it doesn't. Thanks, paper. So question is, what do we do with these top faces here? One simple test would be to detect that something is the top face, and then pick some other UV chords. So this also goes for side faces. So the easy thing we want to do is offset it by 1 pixel if it is so let's do UV so we can check if normal is more or less if that's more or less upwards. I don't know if we need to. So it's like more or less upwards. Then we just offset the UVs by some value. So UV.y plus equals 0. So we want to do like 1 unit divided by the size of the texture. So it's like 16 times the texture size y. Should be actually multiplied. So now we're offsetting it by a whole pixel, which is not gonna help, so we want to multiply this by 0.5. So we offset it by 1/2 pixel upwards if things are pointing upwards. These are all things I hand did on the other model over here. Oh, Joey B! Look, is there... Again, if we put this here somewhere, maybe we can have our light rotate so it's showing this in a really nice... There we go. Cool, this is more easy to see. We also see a little bit more what actually it's gonna look like. So first of all, we got rid of that shit. I think maybe we should have done it in the other direction because the tops are going to be black. It's not going to copy those pixels. So maybe what we do is we subtract this, moves it down, I would say. We'll see. Yes. That should offset the stuff on the top faces by 1/2 pixel, so we don't get that swivelly, like that pattern we get here. Cool. So the question is, since we're watching it usually from roughly like this angle, I think. Yeah, something like that. The top faces are as important as the other faces. So the question is like, do we draw a specific texture that we use to map from the top, or do we just assume, like apply an offset from the Z direction somehow? This is what I'm thinking. So maybe we can like uv.y minus equals, and then we pick something from Z. So we're gonna assume we can use texture size here too. So I wanna sort of multiply, let's call this var pixel so we want to do like pixel times the offset in Z. We don't care to do that. Oh no, it's fine. Yeah, I actually don't know what this didn't seem to do absolutely anything. Just to test this still works. And it updates. Yep. So what does this do? So if we offset it by Z, it's gonna be a value that's kind of big. I think this is also a thing, because it looks like it's inverted in a weird way. It should flip and be over here. Nope. Where is it? The UVs are inverted too. Okay, never mind. Let's not bother. I think it's below ground. Yeah, it should be like X and Z or X and Y or whatever should be inverted, but not this. Okay, let's tackle that later. So for now, we need to figure out why this doesn't look like it's offset at all. So, if we do X, wait, we do not add the offset. I don't understand, like this should work sort of, but adding a lot that should not work. That sort of works. Should we divide this by 16? Hmm. Also, should we have been subtracting? What I want to do is like kind of use this texture and wrap it around in a kind of a way. So dark. But that didn't work. Can we borrow that emission? Get like this here. I think this offset here might not be in the right place. Like we'll likely have a big negative value here. So let's start by subtracting so this should zero it out so that it's something. Just trying some stuff. It seems like if you look at the texture that this actually it does pick a corner here. If we ignore that, what do we get? Yeah, so now we're up in some kind of corner. How does this texture actually look? So it looks like we're seeing this 8 down here. That's what I'm thinking. And this is that part there. So what does that mean? No, it is correct. It's just that we need to add. We do TZ. We need to add the offset in Y. Divided by 16. So it's in the right space, I think. But how can I know? So what we want to see is this mirrored or something. What happens if we do this? The tops are now well, they're not correct. We could do a top offset and then just use that. Let's just do a. Let's try this so we have something to. This is value we're gonna divide by 16 later on, okay? So wait, we need to scale it somehow. Let's try that and see what kind of values come out. Errors. It looks like it's close. Oh, these are now reversed, which is correct. So what we want to see is this. That's what I'm thinking. So if we switch back, remove that, turn it off. Wait, we can just turn it off. This is gonna look, it's not perfect, but it's gonna look better than the stretched version at least, and it's very like sheep. But I don't know why it's this offset, and what, like, is it actually 85 or yeah, 88 looks very close to perfect. Interesting. So the other thing that I haven't really solved yet is, okay, say we have this. What if I did this and copied somehow this thing as a pixel thing? And then paste it in Photoshop and what? That's odd. Gotta update. Music. Okay, so what I'm thinking is, like, if I grab the screen grab of this, could I in a pixel perfect manner get this out here? It's hard to tell what's going on. Proportions should be correct, so it's pretty close, or is it actually good? Just missed some of the lines, I guess. No, it's off by a little bit, so let's try again. right size. And it looks like it took the right things. Okay, cool. So now if I want to modify this wall to match up, I should be able to change the texture offset here to make it match this thing instead. Haven't fixed the sides yet. So we could copy over some parts of this and try to make it kind of match. It does look reversed. Is it matching the... Yeah, it is matching the model. But in Magica Voxel... No, it is absolutely correct. Cool. So we could go grab this top part here, for example, from this texture and just overlap it there. Ooh, nice. I'm interested in seeing that paper. Show us. So we want to grab this size. I'm just gonna do it. Like that, maybe. Yeah. Totally a fan. It is probably relative to this point, so I guess we can't get it all. But yeah, so I never remember. There should be a way to... I guess it's easier to just do this. Gotta hand paint these anyway later. We more or less want to make this darker, and let's fill it in with some color, like this color. No worky. There we go. And then maybe steal some texture from here. I think what you should start with here maybe is to grab this and make a mask of some sort that you can just overlay so it's easy to see what's going on. Put this on top and then maybe like multiply or something. Not multiply, lighter. That doesn't do what I want. Actually, what I want to do is probably to make all the blue go white and all the shaded go like there must be a better way of doing this. This is not gonna... Since we're working mostly in... maybe we can paint the mask really quickly by just drawing lines where things should go. So grab some kind of offensive purple. Guess we could do this and just ignore the tile parts. See if that matches up. Looks pretty good. You could also opt for getting a... If we remove this, we're getting a better texture to start with, maybe. So, except that it's anti-aliased somehow. Should be a good enough texture painting guide, right? Could even like make that black. Or white to start with, and then draw. I restarted my computer, so now I gotta... I think it's 1280 by this and then 2560. Yep. It might be... So what I want to do here is just get, like, is this size? I want to have this. Cool, get a dark color and then just start shading below things. This is also not... Hey, why are you so low? 100%. Transfer. Ah, it's because this layer did not draw on that layer. New layer. Try again. Dark color, get the textures in. It's really hard to see the black against these dark textures. So we want to draw in like where shadows would fall, sort of like painting ambient occlusion, more or less. A little bit, like on the top, not a lot. So normally I wouldn't start with this bad of a texture. Oh shit, that needs to be... Cut off the corners a little bit, and I think like probably at this point I would just merge it down and copy some of these over so that start doing things like this. I also want to darken everything in this darkest part. Cool, it's getting there. The question is this workflow fast enough? That is the big question. We could probably make like a little library of rocks and shit that we want to use. But also expect like let's reduce some of the what? Why am I when did I? It doesn't matter. We can just one pixel too many. Just lift it up. Sheeting and getting some of the textures in here. And then we draw in more exact stuff. Just make it look more like actual tiles. It's a pretty decent looking wall. So what do we do about the sides? First thing we could do, like, it's mostly not going to be visible, so what we should do is probably the same thing we did for the tops before. So let's do right, and then we just abs this. So we do left and right is more or less left or right, yeah. And then we just offset the X somehow. So it repeats the pixels, but that's not the end of the world because mostly that's gonna be covered. So we wanna break this guy up too. I'm on the right layer for once. Let's hide that. that doesn't look too good. It's an art style thing. Like I like pixel art. So I started with pixel art too. Like it's seldom you do these things in a vacuum. So I kind of started with pixel art for the initial prototype, and then I've moved things as I went along. Also, we're not, like, it might be that we shouldn't do this at all. So here's a problem with this approach. So now we have an issue here where that comes in there. Oh. If we want to see how this looks, switch the mouse for a second. Let's copy this guy and replace this guy. Get rid of that. Boop. Go away. And make this 0, 0. So now if we press play, we should be able to see how this wall looks in game. Now we only have one wall at this point. How quickly can we make another? That's the question. And like, can we do this nicely for the for things like floors or corner pieces and so on? It's weird when there is maybe the biggest question, the largest question, whatever it's called in English. Would be, should I pick a palette, draw most of it out in Magica Voxel, unwrap it somehow, the lighting is a little bit strong right now, by the way. It should be something like 2.5. Because I want to do these, for example. If I wanted to model that in Magica Voxel, it wouldn't be a big deal. But unwrapping it and texturing it, that's where things get annoying. It's still too bright, by the way. Hello, Ange. Wee. No. Change the name of the game. I don't know. You think it's a bad name? Okay, the wall needs some collisions. But what happens when you die, Mind? The same robe or another one? It's also one of those nouns that have a singular is the same as plural. Magic Valley, why? Maybe I'm doing it the wrong way with in terms of Magica Voxel. Maybe I should draw the texture first and then import that texture into Magica Voxel and extrude parts of it. The problem becomes like, if I want this resolution, yeah, I don't even know. Robe Okaf. Oh, also the light direction sucks. Should be more like this, I think. Here's my terrible mock-up or drawing that we did the other day. I don't think the repetition is that bad because we're gonna add things on top of this. Like this bottom part here probably should be pushed in, and then we have that part, and sometimes it has these like arches. But the question is like, how do I... Or take this altar here. Do I model it in... in Magica Voxel and then color it with textures, or am I gonna have to... Or let's say something simple. This pillar here, that's got multiple sides, so okay. Radical thought. Crocodile or sprite tile? I've thought about it. Maybe that's an option. But let's say we take our Magica Voxel wall here. Let's make sure we have it saved. We clear it and then we save as. Which one is that? That is save project as. Let's call this like pillar. I think we should also have what I'm thinking is maybe we can unwrap things in a really simple way and just draw it from multiple directions. So let's say we create the base of our pillar and then we do something like this and we then I do something like this, and then we get selection, and I don't really know how this works. I think we do selections and just should be able to move it. Yeah. Just move it like this. Oh. Let's not get stuck on that. Let's just do like and one nice thing is that we don't have to think about the back sides that much. Maybe it makes sense to do that, but we could just texture it from the cardinal directions. So what I'm considering is if we could come up with a way. Shit. Why is it so hard? Why shouldn't I should be able to like move. So let's see here. That's mark. So let's say I select this and then I move that. This works. And then I was hoping I could do this without. And I like hold the button to. I own a Magica voxel importer from the Unity asset store. PT. F. How do I deselect in this? Did I end up in? Yes, I did. Okay. Here's our here's our thing. I would like to. What do I want to do? I want to easily texture this somehow, so. And I don't want to bother with like picking the correct stuff. So yeah, so did I save this as pillar? Yes. So export an OBJ. Test pillar. Probably should split it up a little bit, but yeah. So let's go get our wall. Duplicate it, move it outside of that thing, change the basic thing to this. And that kind of almost works. But what I wonder is, like, can we write a script that exports like renders it from two sides, in like one world pixel is one pixel in the generated texture, and then it gives us a way to yeah, this is not looking that good. But we could like do that, render this somehow into another texture. I also want to do things like these in pixel art. Do that paper. So can we somehow I totally see what that is. Why is it 1 million? There it is. It's still really big. There we go. So this is pretty cool. Yeah, I see the chainsaw guy and the normal nail gun. Yep. Cool. Well done. So how do we map the pillar here in some kind of way? We could definitely like generate flat side models for all the 4 sides. Put them in a texture at a specific size, and then we just add on some basic stuff, and then it works. It doesn't work with like overlaps and stuff, but maybe if we need that, we can start doing that, and then we just export as an OBJ and open that up in Blender, and then modify it to fix weird. What do you think? The shitty texturing that takes all the air out of me. I like modeling in both in Blender and even in Pro Builder. It's nice and easy to kind of just whip something together. Like in this case, is the best thing maybe to just make a bunch of cubes of different sizes and then use that to make the environment. Same for this. And then we just merge them together using one of those merge scripts. They do, but they're not good at making 3D stuff. Like if I want to, I haven't used Crocotile, but in Sprite Tile it's not easy to make like half-sized tiles. This is sounding a lot like Tool. What that song is. Yeah, texturing is always suck. Maybe the solution is simply to not have bright lights so that anything goes. It's actually really annoying in like Blender to try to match things up. And it's as annoying inside of like Pro Builder, which would be the easiest if I could just never leave Unity. I mean, yeah, Smart Unwrap is nice, but then I have like things all over the place. And I'm already stretching the visual budget a little bit by just going 3D instead of just face aligned sprites. Like also sprites or texture unwrapping works well, but not when it's sprites because it's so specific to how you set it up. It would be so nice to just be able to, like, yeah, I want to add something here. Let's do this and then, wait, why are you not doing it? C for attach, there we go. Wanted this. I don't think I want normal maps. Then again, it's like, yeah, maybe the solution is to make a whole bunch of basic parts, like make a bunch of these cubes that could make up floors, and walls. You do a couple of like bigger blocks and a couple of smaller blocks with cutouts, and then you kind of just use that to combine into different things, and then smash everything together using the mesh combined stuff we already have. But then again, it's harder to draw like we did. This texture looks a lot better due to the fact that we have that we have painted in some ambient occlusion and take some of that into account. I think we also have ambient occlusion on, which I think we maybe can't do on the Switch. I don't necessarily know that it's necessary. Yeah, it looks a little bit flatter now with that, but it's not too bad with the darker. Auto-generated normal maps with your textures as inputs. Yeah, we could try that. What do you do specifically for that? Do you mean like in Blender or? Okay, so there's an external tool thing. I see. There's also this, I don't think, I tried it before and I don't think I want to do it. But this is also something to consider. Having, in this case it almost looks better. Because the pixel sizes are more like the, and it's, I guess, less work. Smaller texture atlases. This is like half the resolution on the texture. These still look pretty good, I think. It's chunkier. Kind of like chunkier. Yeah. So half resolution for walls and probably floors. Should we try doing it for the floor too? Okay. Yeah, it actually... Shit, it actually does look better. They need adjusting a little bit, but I think that's fine. I'm not sure if you can tell that much on stream, but here just looks like it's more a more consistent pixel size when the player is standing right next to it. Player is a little bit stretched in the Y direction, and these are all really weird, but look at, for example, like, I guess the fingers would be 1 pixel, and they're definitely smaller. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. So what I should do is create a bunch of assets, texture them up, like cubes and trim stuff, and then combine, and then that makes it easy to make multiple walls that are using the same assets but are in fact different. So maybe that takes out Magica Voxel entirely from the... from the tool chain. So we just model boxes in Blender for a while, texture them, put them in, slightly offset them, build a wall, merge those. Could even do it in Magica. No, in... Okay, then we run into the... yeah, we haven't solved fully the ambient occlusion thing, right? The ambient occlusion issue is that I paint in ambient occlusion by hand in places where I think it fits. Kind of fake depth, and to some degree I probably should just get going somehow. Say I want to make a fence, I would make like one big long rail as a cube, more or less, and then texture that, maybe add a little bit to the ends, and then do one post or two posts, and then duplicate those. Maybe that could be pretty fast. The problem with, like, in Blender, I wonder if I could use Sprite Tile with a really small texture. Does it remember? Yeah, it's got Sprite Tile in here, so we could create a sheet of like 2'6", 2'6", and then just copy in some of this, maybe more this. Just get some of this 80. Copy, put this in here, get it down in the corner, get rid of the background for now, and then save. Sprite test, I don't care. Why does, strange. So I think what you do is you create, like, say we create a plane or something. Fine, go to materials or maps, and then make it a emission shader. Color is gonna come from an image texture. I'm gonna open it from that was actually correct. Assets, textures, sprite test, and then we should be able to go in here, grab the sprite tile brush, build brush, and somehow get ourselves a, maybe you do it by going to UV editing and loading the texture. I don't exactly know how it works. I sort of did it yesterday. Oh, look, it's got this here, and then we can set up the sprite tile. The problem is we what happens if we do one? And then that doesn't work. So we can kind of do this. It becomes annoying because it's so big. But I could do this, and I think it'll work. So then I just it's not nice to work with at this point. Yeah, so I wanna make this. So let's take this. Is there a way to show or hide this? This is not working. Maybe I need a much smaller texture for this. Because I don't really need all the stuff. We could just at least make it half as big. And we can have more and then and then I want this on. Put this here. Actually, I want to put this here. And then we say the top of this is going to be this part here. And we just let's do wide. And then we change this so it's a value that's reasonable, like 4 instead, and then we grab this, for example. Doesn't look good at all. Oh, the other part that's not good is that it actually creates there's an issue here. It hasn't move that. Strange. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's super easy to get this right. Also, it creates a lot of unnecessary. Okay, so this didn't work. Shit. Willsman. I'm trying to figure out a cost-effective way of making assets that are like pixel art, textured pixel art, where I don't have to do a lot of bullshit to texture my stuff. Preferably, I would just make a couple of textures in Photoshop, and I would just like press a button and it would come out as something. One thing I realize is that when things are dark, it's not that you don't have to be that fussy about it. Like you could almost, this could almost pass as something. I don't know. So yeah, I'm allergic to doing things by hand that I feel like the computer should be able to handle. Like in the best of worlds, what I would do is I model this and I bring it into Photoshop and then I draw directly on the model. Hey. I do feel like the approach we took here is not that bad for walls and stuff. So maybe there is a there is something we can do with that. It's almost like this I don't know exactly what I want to do with this. I'm getting definitely a little bit tired. My brain is somewhat done. The problem with just doing it in Blender is I don't have a good way of snapping to the right size. So let's say we add a cube here. We have this cube. That's actually pretty nicely unwrapped already. But then I want to say faces. I want to snap this here. I guess if we pick some kind of size where it always works, I could just like create a whole bunch of these Jesus shaped things of different sizes, and then yeah, let's just try that for a quick second. So sprite test. Let's say we want to make a cube that's this size roughly. So actually, let's not do that. Let's draw it from scratch instead, so we don't have to bother with all the stuff. And we would just like say, oh, this is the size we want. It's gonna have a top, a bottom, and a side. We never like. We don't even need all this. Because we're never gonna see the far side of these, but maybe we do it just so it's easier for us to rotate and create versions. And then it's harder to, well. Okay, here's our thing. We would have to like remember it's 19 by 10, and then these are different. Just do that, and maybe that, and then maybe that, just so that we have something. Okay, save that. Go in here. That one is already updated. So if I want to set this up to be the right size, I guess what we do is we make sure this is 19 units out. This is in meters. Can change this. Units. We could do like none here and then go into scale 16. Oh, we say 8 because that's the resolution we choose. And then 8 subdivisions? I don't know. We just say like minus 19. The top we move up so it's that's not right. Should it be something like this? No, that's the size. So the grid size is 1, and then subdivisions is 8. Okay, so it should be 10 by, like, I'm just trying to figure out how annoying is it going to be to size these things up. The height of that should be 10. Just like that. No one goes back 1. And is this 19? Yes. Cool. So now we grab these. Let's go UV snap to pixels to corners. Can we just... Oh wait, the pixels are not correct? Maybe we can do this. I think we were a little bit lucky with how close that was in size. Okay, and then we get to this problem that always happened. This one is actually rotated 90 degrees to what it should be, so it looks off. And I imagine that one being the front, so everything was wrong. So let's move everything over. And it's also rotated. This is always the case when you start working with the UVs. It's never easy. It's always annoying and unintuitive. Okay, what's this now? Shit. Just automatically unwrap it. Didn't work. So this doesn't correct the aspect ratio, it looks like. Oh, okay, never mind, it does. So is there something hidden here? Yes. What is this? Now I noticed if I were to type something up, this is like this is what I imagine being the front. Maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe this is the top. Let's write a T on that one and see. And this would be the back. And this would be the front, and this would be the under. Would be the left, and this would be the right. Okay. So that was not how it was. Can we like rip everything? Split. So this should be the bottom. No. Also, this one is rotated. This one is flipped, I think. This one is upside down. So if we want multiple different sizes of these, I would expect us to make a bunch of these first that all have the same thing, and then we take this one. Okay, so let's say we want to make now we want to make another one. So we would take this, we duplicate it to the side, and we want to make something that's not as wide, let's say. But yeah, let's just increase the height 2 pixels. So we would like do 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, and then we also have to do it here. 1, 2, 1, 2, and then because it doesn't really matter if the okay, so now we just duplicate this. Move it over, and then grab all of these from here. And okay, that's a good start, but now it's the wrong size. So how do we make sure that it's square? Or not square, but that all the sides are the same. We look at the is that right? We don't know that. Looks like it should be taller or less wide. Should be taller, I think. It sure is annoying. Like, I don't understand how we're gonna make something quickly using this. It's also not correct, I think. I don't want to like measure here. Hey moms.
Går det?
Olika strul.
Strul har vi.
Ja,
Här är med foten.
dåligt.
Jag får ögonen på dig.
Alltså. Ja.
Ja, nu öppnar min jobbdator på jobbet så låg det en vit knapp i tangentbordet.
Ja, bra. Yeah, I don't know. I'll give this a think, and then we'll see if we can do some more tomorrow, maybe. I think I'm gonna sign off now.
Mensen vragen me altijd of ik het niet mis.
Echo de menos la sensación.
Saudade do estádio inteiro gritando.
I'll drop you off at SemiWorks.
En mijn
So,
antwoord is altijd hetzelfde.
Thank you all for hanging out. I'll be back maybe tomorrow, maybe Friday. We'll see.
Allemaal nog
Hugs and
steeds
kisses.